So here in video number two, we're going to continue kind of where we left off. We were talking about how we need to make sure we check for the accuracy of our credit report. Even if we are not big believers in our credit score because we don't want to have debt, we still don't want the inaccuracies there in case we do again buy a home, something like that. We don't want those inaccuracies there. That's why we do check our credit report at least once a year. And technically speaking, there are three credit bureaus, right? Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And so you could actually do each one of those once a year at no cost. And so therefore, you could actually do it three times a year if you kind of, you know, scale that out. Now, part of the reason we need to make sure that we are checking our credit report, one reason to do it is because of identity theft. Identity theft is the fastest growing white collar crime in America. White collar crime just means it's a non-violent crime. That's all that really means. And statistically, they say there's around at least 15 million cases of identity theft every single year. So 15 million, just start thinking about that. This has happened to people that you know, and or will happen to people that you know. So we can't, again, just sort of act like this is happening someplace, far, far away. This is happening around us. It's happening all the time. They also say the average loss when identity theft happens is a little over $5,000, as you see there on the screen. And they say it takes around an average of 600 hours to kind of clean up your credit score. It is not a fun thing to do. Um, and so this is part of the reason we need to make sure that we're checking our credit for these inaccuracies because sometimes people might be messing with our credit and we're actually not even aware of this through what we call identity theft. Now, if it does happen to you, a week ago, I had an assignment for you where you were to talk about the idea of your um, what happens to you or what you should do with identity theft. And technically, there are 5 steps. First of all, you should file what's called a fraud victim alert. Fraud victim alert is with the credit bureau. Basically, it stays on your credit bureau report for 90 days. And if there is a fraud victim alert, it basically alerts the credit bureau that if anybody is trying to pull any information for your credit in order to buy a new car or anything of that nature, that it will automatically um, deny it because it's been tampered with, right? And so we want to make sure we do that. Um, it will, like I said, stays on there for 90 days without a police report, which takes us to the second one. You do need to file a police report. This is a crime. This is not a victimless crime. You are the person who has been, um, the victim, right? You are the victim of this, and so we need to report the crime that has occurred. Sadly, about 80% of the identities that are stolen are actually stolen by people that you know, which is even more um, that's alarming, right? If that does happen, then you need to make sure that you tell them everything you know, or otherwise you are committing a crime too, because um, you can't talk about the crime that has happened without uncovering all that you know. So if you find out that it's a relative or something, you need to tell them that. You need to thirdly pay nothing. There sometimes they're going to think that maybe that you're filing this information as somebody who um, is pretending to be a victim of fraud when in reality, no, you are the victim. And so if they're asking you to pay upfront and then they'll pay you back, you do not do that. You are a victim here, so pay nothing. You also need to start developing some documentation of what happened. So make sure that you're printing out things from your credit bureau as well as from the police and whatnot. So to provide documentation of what's happened to you for future reference. And then finally, be persistent because, like it says, 600 hours to clean it up. You need to make sure that you're taking the time to clean up the mess that has been created. So, yeah, not such a good thing. On to video